Welcome back to my channel. Today's story is one that has been quietly building behind the cameras for months. A story of betrayal, manipulation, and a shocking discovery that could completely rewrite what we thought we knew about the Brown family's collapse. For years, we've watched Kody Brown's spiral, from a confident patriarch to a man unraveling under the weight of his own chaos. But what if that collapse wasn't natural? What if it was orchestrated? Sources close to the Browns claim that Kody Brown uncovered something chilling, that Robyn wasn't just Kody's favorite wife. She was the mastermind behind his emotional imprisonment. Behind every meltdown, every canceled visit, and every moment Kody withdrew from his other wives, there was allegedly a carefully designed pattern, what insiders are calling the crisis engine. Let's rewind for a second. The Kody Brown we first met was loud, animated, almost gleefully chaotic, juggling 4 households with that infamous grin. But in recent seasons, that man vanished. What we saw instead was someone hollowed out, defensive, and volatile, a man who seemed to be constantly fighting invisible fires. Those fires, it turns out, may not have been real. Every time Kody was about to reconnect with Janelle, Christine, or Mary, a crisis would erupt at Robyn's house. Every single time. When Janelle was trying to get him to sit down for crucial Coyote Pass planning, Robyn suddenly called in tears. Solomon had a fever. He needed his daddy. It was an emergency. Kody canceled on Janelle. Hours later, Solomon was miraculously fine. When Christine was pleading for support before Isabel's spine surgery, one of the most emotional moments of her life, Kody promised to be there. But Robyn called again. This time, Aurora was allegedly being threatened with expulsion from college. Another code red. Another 3 days trapped at Robyn's side. Isabel's crisis was quietly pushed aside. Then came the infamous plumbing disaster. A supposed flood that required Kody to spend 8 straight hours fixing pipes at Robyn's mansion, instead of reconciling with his sons, Garrison and Gabriel. Janelle was left sitting alone, waiting for a conversation that never happened. And according to those close to the family, no one ever saw any actual water damage. But the most insidious part of all, and the one Christine reportedly couldn't ignore, was how Robyn used emotional manipulation as her final weapon. Her children's genuine pain became the perfect shield. Anytime Kody began to distance himself, one of Robyn's kids would suddenly have a breakdown, a panic attack, or an emotional crisis that only Kody could solve. It was a loop, a cycle designed to keep him home, loyal, and constantly on alert. Christine, from her new life in Utah, began connecting the dots. The timing, the patterns, the way Robyn's tears always arrived at the exact moment Kody was about to step away. And once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. What we're looking at might not just be Kody's emotional collapse, but a system of control disguised as care. A psychological cage built by the one woman who swore she was only trying to keep the family together. Stick around, because in the next part of this exposé, we'll dive even deeper into the evidence behind Christine's discovery, and how Kody Brown's downfall may have been engineered from inside his own home. What if everything we thought we knew about Kody Brown's downfall, his exhaustion, his stress, his emotional collapse, wasn't the result of chaos, but the creation of it? What if the walls that trapped him inside Robyn's home were built brick by brick? By Robyn herself? For years, Kody has repeated the same line, the same tragic refrain. My presence just isn't enough. That single sentence became the cornerstone of a narrative that made him look like the overwhelmed hero, the self-sacrificing patriarch who was constantly battling catastrophe after catastrophe to protect his most fragile wife. Robyn, in turn, played the part of the delicate mother who simply couldn't cope without him. It was a performance so convincing that it fed Kody's ego while deepening his resentment toward the other wives. To him, Janelle, Christine, and Mary were becoming demanding, needy, impossible to please. Meanwhile, Robyn appeared to be the one woman who truly needed him, the only one who saw him as a savior. And that, insiders say, is how the trap was set. Robyn's endless parade of crises created the perfect storm for Kody's isolation. He was always reacting, never reflecting, living in a constant state of emergency that only Robyn could interpret for him. When he wasn't racing to fix something at her house, he was emotionally recovering from whatever disaster she had claimed had just occurred. He told the other wives, exhausted and trembling, "You don't understand what I'm dealing with over here. It's one thing after another. I can't leave. I just can't." And they believed him. Because to question him, to even suggest that the emergencies weren't real, would mean accusing Robyn of deception. It was unthinkable. Who would dare call a mother a liar when her children were supposedly sick, panicked, or in crisis? Christine, however, had something the others didn't: distance. In Utah, free from the constant noise, she began to see the cracks in the narrative. The chaos she once accepted now seemed absurd. The timing of these so-called disasters felt too convenient, too synchronized with the moments Kody might have reconnected with his other wives. Then, small inconsistencies began to surface, innocent details that didn't match Kody's dramatic retellings. Kody had described Aurora's academic crisis as a week-long ordeal that consumed his every waking moment. But later, Christine casually heard from one of her kids that Aurora's issue had been a simple citation error on a paper, fixed in minutes, not days. Christine froze. That small inconsistency sent a chill down her spine. Kody had used that minor issue as the reason he couldn't be there for Isabel's spine surgery, a moment that would define Isabel's entire life. And then came the plumbing emergency. Kody claimed the kitchen had flooded, floors destroyed, drywall ripped out, him spending 8 grueling hours saving Robyn's house from ruin. He said he was too exhausted to deal with anyone for days afterward. But when one of Janelle's sons happened to drive by Robyn's home that same day, he saw a plumbing van parked there for less than an hour. Later, one of Robyn's own kids casually mentioned that a handyman had stopped by to replace a dripping faucet. That was it, a dripping faucet. Christine's heart sank. This wasn't exaggeration anymore. It was fabrication, a carefully crafted illusion to keep Kody tethered to one house, to one woman. The realization hit her like a physical blow. The heroic husband wasn't fighting real battles. He was trapped inside a play directed by Robyn. The rest of the family weren't wives anymore. They were cast members in a story written to make Kody the savior and Robyn the eternal victim. And once Christine saw that pattern, she couldn't unsee it. Every absence, every crisis, every excuse now looked deliberate. Robyn had turned her home into a fortress, but its walls weren't made of stone. They were built from Kody's fear, his guilt, and his desperate need to feel useful. She wasn't just his support system. She was the architect of his imprisonment. That truth shattered Christine. It reframed everything: the neglect, the abandonment, the emotional distance. It wasn't that Kody loved Robyn more. It was that Christine, Janelle, and Mary had been methodically pushed out, one crisis at a time. Still, Christine knew suspicion wasn't proof. Without evidence, she'd be dismissed as bitter and jealous. Kody wouldn't listen. He was too far gone, too dependent on Robyn's narrative. Janelle would want facts. Mary, still clinging to hope, would be too afraid to face them. So Christine made a decision that would forever change the Brown family dynamic. According to insiders, she decided to gather proof, undeniable proof, of what was really happening behind closed doors. She was done being a passive observer. She would become the investigator. The breaking point came over something that should have been joyous: Logan's wedding. Janelle was organizing a simple family dinner, a rare chance for unity. Everyone had agreed. Kody promised to attend. But just 2 days before, the familiar text arrived. "Something's come up with Dayton. It's serious. I can't make it. Robyn's a wreck." It was the same pattern, the same script, the same invisible emergency, and that's when Christine reportedly decided she'd had enough. The lies had cost her family, her marriage, and her peace. She was done waiting for honesty. She would find it herself, and the way she chose to do that was as shocking as it was dangerous. Christine Brown, heartbroken, betrayed, and determined, was about to bug the Brown family. Tonight's story isn't just another piece of sister wives gossip. It's the moment where everything changed. It's the night Christine Brown realized that the family's unraveling wasn't chaos born of bad luck or bad communication. It was something darker, something engineered. The cover was perfect, a private medical issue. Who in their right mind would question the seriousness of a child's health? Not Janelle. Not Christine. Not anyone who had lived under the emotional weight of Kody's constant crises. But this time something snapped inside Christine when she heard it. Dayton's serious condition flaring up just 48 hours before an important family meeting? A meeting Kody clearly didn't want to attend. No, it wasn't random anymore. It was a pattern, and it had Robyn's fingerprints all over it. Christine had seen this game before: the well-timed emergencies, the vague explanations, the sudden guilt trips. But this time she was done being played. She wanted proof, not for revenge but for clarity. For years, she had tried to reason with Kody's absence, to justify his constant exhaustion and excuses. But the math never added up. And now, with each new coincidence, the truth began to take shape in her mind like a terrible revelation. She remembered something from years earlier, a routine between Kody and Robyn that had seemed harmless back then. Before Kody left the house, before he went to see another wife or handle family business, there was always a moment, a private conversation in the garage. The garage was their in-between world, not inside, not outside. Just quiet enough for strategy. Robyn standing near the truck, Kody nodding, eyes down, taking her words like marching orders. Christine used to call it the pre-game huddle. She'd watched it play out dozens of times without thinking much of it. But now she realized that was where the truth lived. If she could hear what they said in that garage, she could finally know. It was an insane idea, planting a camera, recording private conversations. It broke every rule. But Christine was past the point of playing fair in a game that had never been fair to begin with. She wasn't looking to sue or expose anyone to the law. She was looking for peace, for answers, for the truth that would finally let her sleep at night. Her plan was simple but daring. She found a discreet Wi-Fi-enabled nanny cam, a tiny black cube no bigger than a salt shaker. It recorded both audio and video straight to the cloud, accessible from anywhere. And she knew exactly where to hide it, inside one of Kody's old moving boxes still sitting in her garage from the Flagstaff days. Kody had left them there years ago, too lazy or too indifferent to collect them. She picked up the phone and called Kody, her voice calm, pleasant, practiced. "Hey, I'm clearing out the garage and found some of your old boxes. I thought maybe one of the kids could drop them off at Robyn's place. That way they're out of my way, and you can have your stuff." Kody, oblivious as ever, agreed instantly. "Yeah, sure. That's fine. Just have them text me when they're on the way." And just like that, the trap was set. Inside one of those boxes, Christine carefully installed the tiny camera, cutting a small, almost invisible hole that gave it a perfect line of sight toward Kody's truck, the sacred meeting spot. Her instructions to the child doing the delivery were simple. Put these boxes in that corner. Make sure this side is facing out. Don't ask questions, just trust me. That night, Christine sat alone in her Utah home, heart pounding as the app on her phone showed the camera going live. For days, she saw nothing but ordinary life. The garage door opening and closing, the hum of cars, the faint sound of kids playing. Sometimes she'd stay up until dawn, watching, waiting, hoping. Then came the doubt. Maybe she had imagined it all. Maybe she was the villain in her own paranoia. Until one Tuesday evening, everything changed. At 6:50 p.m., her phone buzzed. Motion detected. She opened the feed, the garage light flicked on. Kody and Robyn walked in, standing near the truck. Their faces were serious, voices low but clear. Kody jingled his keys, already half-turned toward the door. "Okay, I should go. Janelle's waiting. It's about Savannah's school trip. I have to go." Robyn moved closer, her voice soft but commanding. "No, you can't." Kody frowned. "Robyn, I promised her. It's important." Then, in a chillingly calm tone, Robyn said the words that shattered Christine's world. "I already handled it. I talked to Brianna. I told her you were about to leave. She got upset, started feeling panicky again. She's in her room waiting for you. She thinks you're coming to help her. You can't leave now, Kody. It would destroy her." Kody froze, but she seemed fine at dinner. Robyn stepped closer, straightening his collar, her eyes locked on his. "She is fine now because I told her you'd be there. You promised me you'd put our kids' emotional health first, above everyone else's drama. You can't break that promise, not tonight." Christine's heart stopped. She was hearing the machine in motion, the crisis engine at work in real time. Robyn wasn't reacting to emergencies. She was creating them, scripting them like scenes in a play. Every panic attack, every illness, every plumbing disaster had been a perfectly timed distraction to keep Kody trapped under her thumb. Kody's shoulders sagged. His tone broke. "Okay," he muttered. "What do I tell Janelle?" Robyn didn't miss a beat. Her reply was rehearsed, polished. Tell her something came up with one of the kids. Use the word serious. Be vague. Say it's private. Tell her you're overwhelmed. That you're trapped. That you just can't leave. Kody nodded slowly, defeated. "Okay, yeah. Trapped." He pocketed his keys. The light went out. The screen went black. But for Christine, the world had never been clearer. The conspiracy she had suspected for years wasn't paranoia. It was proof. Robyn had been scripting every excuse, every absence, every emotional collapse. And Kody, her husband, the father of her children, and had become her puppet. Christine sat there trembling, staring at the empty screen, realizing that she had just uncovered the true heart of the Brown family's collapse. A tragedy not of circumstance, but of control. Not of circumstance, but of control. She had it. The proof, cold, unshakable, and more devastating than anything she had ever imagined. What Christine uncovered wasn't just deception. It was design. It was strategy. Robyn Brown hadn't merely twisted situations or exaggerated problems. She had manufactured them from nothing, built entire emotional emergencies out of thin air, and then used her own children as pawns in a psychological war that tore the Brown family apart. And the worst part? Kody wasn't just complicit. He was conditioned. When the garage light went dark, Christine sat frozen, her reflection ghostly in the black screen of her phone. For a long moment, she didn't move. I couldn't move. The silence after that recording felt deafening, like the world itself had stopped breathing. She replayed it once, then again, and again, each time the words hit harder, colder, sharper. Use the word serious. Make it sound like you're the victim. Remember, you said you'd prioritize our kids. Robyn's voice wasn't emotional. It wasn't frantic. It was calm, precise. The tone of someone issuing orders, not begging for empathy. Christine realized she wasn't listening to a desperate woman clinging to her husband. She was listening to a commander in the middle of a covert operation. Robyn wasn't reacting to chaos. She was creating it. Manufacturing crises, scripting Kody's lines, and turning his compassion into a weapon against his own family. The betrayal was not a collection of small wounds. It was a single, devastating stab in the back, one that left an entire family bleeding. But what haunted Christine more than Robyn's cold manipulation was Kody's immediate obedience. He didn't argue. He didn't question. He simply sighed and said, "Okay. Yeah, trapped. I can do that." And just like that, the illusion shattered. The man who once stood as the family's leader, the husband who preached about unity, had become a shadow, a hollow employee taking orders from his supervisor. Robyn wasn't just his wife. She was his handler. Christine felt her chest tighten. She thought she'd feel vindicated finding the smoking gun, but instead she felt grief. Pure, crushing grief. Grief for the family she had built with love and hope. Grief for her children, who had watched their father drift away into a fog of manipulation and control. Grief for Janelle and Mary, who were still trapped inside that fog, blaming themselves for not being enough. And yes, even grief for Kody. Because in that moment, she saw it clearly. He was a victim too. Robyn had weaponized his need to be a hero, his guilt, and his fatherly instincts. She had taken the best parts of him, his loyalty, his protectiveness, and twisted them into tools for isolation and control. He thought he was saving his family. In reality, he was helping destroy it. For a full day, Christine said nothing. She held this truth like a live grenade, knowing that once she pulled the pin, there would be no going back. Releasing it would mean detonating what was left of the Brown family. But hiding it? That was another form of betrayal. She knew Janelle and Mary deserved to know the truth. They had spent years blaming themselves for Kody's coldness, thinking they had failed him, when all along the game had been rigged. They were never fighting for his love. They were fighting against a script. So Christine made a decision. She called Janelle first. Her voice was steady, but beneath it was a tremor, a quiet urgency. "I need to see you," she said. "And Mary, the three of us. In person, somewhere private." Janelle, practical as ever, hesitated. "Christine, what's going on? Is this about Kody?" "I don't have time for another meltdown." Christine cut her off. "No, Janelle. You need to hear this. It's about everything. It's about why he's never there." There was something in Christine's tone that made Janelle go silent. Within minutes, she agreed. Getting Mary to join took more effort. She was still fragile, still clinging to fragments of a relationship that no longer existed. But Janelle helped, framing it as a sister-wife summit. A few days later, the three original wives, the founders of the family, gathered in a small Airbnb on the outskirts of Flagstaff. The air was thick, heavy with years of resentment, grief, and silence. Christine didn't waste a second. She looked at Janelle, the realist who had fought so long to stay fair, and at Mary, the loyal heart still desperate for belonging. Then she said it. "I know why he never comes. I know why he's always angry. I know why he can't leave Robyn's house. And it's not what we thought. It's being engineered. Janelle frowned, arms crossed. Engineered? Christine, you're talking like this is a conspiracy? He's just burned out. He's overwhelmed. Mary shook her head, her voice small but defensive. Robyn wouldn't do anything to hurt the family. You know that. Christine's hand trembled slightly as she reached into her bag. Her phone screen lit up, its glow casting long shadows on the wall. I have proof, she whispered. The room went silent, and with one tap she pressed play.